Welcome back, hard forkers, to the most intermittent show in all of crypto. But Blue, it's really getting interesting. So I think you're going to be seeing a bit more of his people. Many of you are familiar with Blue. He's putting out regular content on trading. Links below to that. This particular show, if you haven't come across this before, really what we're attempting to do here, I'll be looking at the fundamentals, the big picture, helping educate newbies, talking about how I'm approaching the market, where I think we're at. Blue will be adding his excellent knowledge around trading. So we will be looking at the charts momentarily. But I think really where I'd like to begin today, Blue, is BTC dominance. Can you talk our audience through what that is, where it's at, why it's important?
Sure. Yeah. So Bitcoin dominance is basically the comparative. It's how you compare the performance of Bitcoin against altcoins. And here's the Bitcoin dominance chart. It's measured in percentage. And we're at about 50% dominance. So that means Bitcoin's market cap accounts for half of the rest of the entire cryptocurrency market cap. And this has been in an uptrend. Now, this is typical. This is normal when you're in a bear market. As prices decline, altcoins tend to decline faster than Bitcoin, which makes the comparative dominance of Bitcoin rise. So this has been in an upwards trend. Basically, the bottom was in for Bitcoin dominance back here in September of 2022. And it's been in an uptrend ever since. Now, there's also an interesting trading range that has developed here, where we were range bound between about 48% dominance and 40% dominance. Now, that has since broken out, proving to the market that it is even stronger than a lot of the altcoins, and it's continuing to trend higher. So until you get a turnaround here, meaning you get either a lower high and a lower low, that might look like this. So let's say this is the high, maybe we get a lower high, and then the trend continues to the downside. Until you see that, you're not going to see an outperformance of altcoins against Bitcoin. So the play right now is Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin accumulation. There are a lot of cryptos, in my opinion, have bottomed out. So it's just a matter of the fervor and energy of the market to come back till you see that outperformance of Bitcoin in the altcoin space.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so, people maybe who are sitting on the sidelines at the moment, I guess sort of part of what I want to convey or my sort of add to these shows that we're going to do together is to maybe look at the fundamentals. Blue's going to be looking at the charts, trying to explain the correlation between the two. Is there actually one? For me, look, Bitcoin's become super exciting. We've had ordinals before. You can go back and check out our previous content on that or on Blue's channel. We won't delve into that too much today, but look, really for me, the big things that I think people need to understand is that we've got Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock. This is a company with more funds under management than anyone else in the world. They have filed for an ETF that potentially brings billions of capital into the Bitcoin space. So really for me, what we're seeing at the moment is a lot of institutional interest. We've also got presidential candidates. RFK is basically stated this week that he would back the US dollar initially only to the degree of 1% with precious metals and also potentially Bitcoin. So, looking back when we got into the space, Blue, there was a handful of us talking about Bitcoin. It really was a small community. Now we have presidential candidates. We have the CEO of one of the most significant companies in the world talking about this asset. These are fundamentals. These are news-based events. What can you tell us about the chart in the big picture, macro level, coming into the halving, which will be in April? So you know, we're getting close to significant events. I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, so I keep it pretty simple. A chart I like to look at is the BLX, which is the all-time history chart for Bitcoin. And I look at it on the logarithmic view, just because it shows us everything, the ebbs and flows. And we're in accumulation. So some viewers might know that I do study the Wyckoff method. And the Wyckoff method, it's not so much a method of TA in terms of this is the buy signal, this is the sell signal. It's a way for you to look at the behavior of price within a set range to determine, is smart money accumulating or is smart money selling, going into distribution. And we're in accumulation. You know, this indicator, this is a free indicator on TradingView called DCA BTC. And it shows you the accumulation zones. So every time Bitcoin has come into this green band, it's been a good time to buy Bitcoin. This has been the accumulation zone. Now, I will say the characteristics of accumulation for a retail trader who came in either in previous cycles, either the last cycle or the 2017 cycle, things don't move quickly. This is one of the characteristics of accumulation. Things are not moving quickly. We're not seeing big green God candles where, you know, things are moving really fast and people need to jump in without doing research. Not that I ever recommend that you do that. I recommend that you get ahead of the research part of it. But we're showing a lot of characteristics of accumulation in the charts.
Yep.
And with a lot of these institutions preparing to offer services to customers, I would assume, and I can assume based off of the chart, that they are quietly accumulating Bitcoin in the background. The bottom is in. The bottom is in. We might revisit some previous lows, but I don't think that we're going to see a new low in the price of Bitcoin. And right now, as long as price is in this green band, it's, you know, not financial advice, but this is as good a time as any to be acquiring Bitcoin and other fundamentally strong crypto assets.
Yeah, look, we're legally, we can't give you financial advice, people. So this is a couple of friends chatting here. But what you are going to notice is regular content from us now at Hard Forking. Things have got very interesting again. I totally agree with everything Blue has said there. Look, I'm sitting up and taking notice on the daily now. It's becoming an obsession again. So, you know, interesting facts off the back of what you're saying there. There's been some massive wallet movements. I guess a lot of the audience is looking at this now saying, well, okay, am I missing the boat again? We'll talk about that in a moment. But, you know, a few facts here. Look, Bitcoin's up at nearly 83% this year, making it really one of the best performing assets in the world. Has been over the last 11 years. There's been some big wallet movements lately. We actually had somebody who I believe moved, I think it was about 1,000 Bitcoin this morning. It's Monday morning here in Asia. And, you know, big wallet moves. So that person bought at $4.92. They haven't actually sold. They've moved to you know, another wallet. The other one of note, obviously, believe it or not, the US government is one of the biggest holders of Bitcoin, and we've seen them move 10,000 BTC recently. It's still very unclear as to whether or not they've gone to exchanges or that's still with the Justice Department. But really, for me, the one that sticks out big time, and I'd love your thoughts on this, is 55% of all Bitcoin has not moved in over 2 years now. That's pretty significant. So do you maybe want to talk around that particular statistic for us a bit?
We are, you know, we're not going to see a lot of Bitcoin being offloaded at these prices. And in the last 2 years, there's been no reason to sell Bitcoin if you're a large holder of Bitcoin, because in the last 2 years, it's been a bear market and the bottom's been in. The bottom, we had the FTX collapse in July 2022. If they didn't sell it in the last 2 years, they're not going to sell it for the next 2 years, probably. I anticipate we see a hot market by 2024, 2025. So they're not selling. They're not moving. They're hodling. They're putting in cold storage, and they're, you know, there are Bitcoiners out there who are not going to sell until it becomes a currency that they can use and is just accepted wherever they are. So I'm not surprised. Not surprised to hear about that.
Yeah, very true. You know, so to somebody that's kind of sitting on the fence here or starting to learn about Bitcoin, any advice on, you know, sort of first steps? Obviously, for a lot of people, it's still a bit of a mystery. You know, how do I buy this thing? How do I store it? What are you saying to sort of friends, family, people that are asking you at your moment, your community? Link below to that, people. Where do you think we are in the big picture here? You know, you're talking about a hot market next year. I agree. Give us a bit more context around that.
I think we're getting ready for a very substantial cycle where, you know, every cycle is kind of a different cohort of individuals. So, you know, this is the nerd cycle, you know, this is kind of the savvy investor slash, you know, crypto degen cycle. This is kind of mass retail. I think at this point and through this cycle, most people have at least heard about Bitcoin and are, you know, it's no longer a question as to what it is or where to get it in most circumstances. And then I think we're priming for the institutional cycle where we get large, big household names getting into crypto, putting it on the balance sheets. And then after that, we got the, we got the government FOMO cycle where you have sovereign nations FOMOing in and selling their currency for Bitcoin. Yeah, that's a little bit of the hopium square. But I think what we're setting up for here is the institutional cycle where you actually get a lot of big names start to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet, start to use it for, you know, tax advantages or whatever the case may be, just offering new services to clients. We're going to see institutional solutions come in this cycle. And I think it's going to be a large cycle. There is a narrative out there that Bitcoin is an asset that is doomed to repeat diminishing returns. And because that's become a mainstream narrative, as a trader, I try and counter, or I try to entertain the counter side of every trade. And I think I would not be surprised if this cycle actually performs better than the previous cycle. And we break that narrative of diminishing returns and go back to increasing returns.
Yeah. So look, we'll move on to Ethereum very shortly. And, you know, obviously for you shitcoiners out there, most of that sits on Ethereum. But just staying with Bitcoin for a moment here, I absolutely agree with what you're saying. I think at the moment, what we're seeing is smart money. Now, obviously, there are plenty of conversations that are clearly happening in the background here, especially in the US. You know, I think we've endured so much uncertainty with the SEC and our man Gary Gensler over the last couple of years, but it certainly feels like we will get some clarity. It feels like the clean out, if you want to call it that, of you know, ultimately, you know, badly run businesses, in many instances, quite criminal situations, and nearly over. And off the back of this, I think we're going to have a hell of a lot of clarity moving forward. I think what the US is also realizing, you know, here we are Monday morning in Asia, and one of the first articles I read is, you know, the CEO of Bybit, one of the bigger exchanges, talking in terms of he feels it's become quite competitive out there with different regions, almost saying, hey, okay, you know, let's sit down and talk. Dubai is where I believe Bybit is registered. Very crypto-friendly environment, but we're now also seeing Hong Kong making its play. That's obviously a Chinese initiative, but I think the US has realized we cannot be left behind here when you've got Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, talking in terms of this is an international asset. I couldn't agree more. That's a massive call. Don't underestimate that, people. You know, at the start of the show, presidential candidates talking about Bitcoin. this is a very, very different cycle. So
Yeah.
look, if you're not in this market, now's really your time. You've not missed the boat. We'll talk about our particular trading strategy shortly, but now is your opportunity to really understand this asset class and make your own decision. But do not sit on the sidelines in terms of doing some research here. Look, I couldn't be more interested and fascinated by what's going on. I think Bitcoin, look, it's clear. My biggest pain point, Blue, is that your average person is not holding enough of the stuff, and it will become an institutional grade asset. Sovereign wealth funds, etc. And people, will FOMO in end of cycle, as typically happens. So any thoughts, advice to your average retail investor that still doesn't quite get what's going on here?
You have to spend at least 20 solid hours of dedication to understanding money, specifically money. Forget Bitcoin for a sec. Understand money, understand fiat currency, understand the history of your country's currency, where it came from, what they did, and where it is today. Then you add on layers like the internet and programmability. So with Bitcoin, we have very hard money, very sound money, which is kind of the recipe for any successful nation. Is you need to build it on the backs of hard money. That gives you the permission to create a fiat currency that debases it. But all of the greatest empires of the world started on hard money. And then you add the layer of programmability. We're in the digital age. We're in, our lives are more and more online every single day, and transactions really can only do so much when they are government-backed fiat transactions where you need to get a bank involved for this, that, and the other. With Bitcoin, it's permissionless. And what a lot of people don't realize is that means things are faster. You don't need to wait for verification from a third party. You don't need to clear that the account has the funds in it from a third party. You can create really interesting applications when you can automate the transaction. So we have hard money that is programmable for the digital age. Incentives are very important for a new person. So the very common advice that I give to people who they know that they want to learn more, just go fucking buy some. Just go buy some. Buy $100. Buy, $500. Whatever you're comfortable with. Get some skin in the game, because that's going to give you the incentive to continue to research what it is that you're doing. So a lot of people, that's the route they go. They buy some, and then they're like, all right, well, what does this stuff do? Why do I have this thing? And then
look, I think it's year 7 for me in this space now. And your opening statement there is 100% correct. It's really about learning about money more than anything else. And you do need to put a huge amount of time into that. I've literally spent the last couple of years really getting up to speed on how the entire financial system works. That journey began 7 years ago when I came across Bitcoin. You're also talking about programmable money there. So we'll cover the emergence of ordinals on Bitcoin and more shows. There is great content we've already made on that on this channel and Blue's. Links below to those. But moving on to ETH, look, the functionality of Bitcoin, I'm really excited to see these new features coming in. But Ethereum has sort of been our programmable money layer. It obviously is a spin-off of Bitcoin. The thing that I would like to share with the audience that I find of most relevance and importance at the moment is you can run an Ethereum node. Now, we did a show for well over a year called 1 BTC and 32 Ethereum. The reason for the title was that we think that's a really great place if you can find yourself, that you own a Bitcoin and 32 Ethereum. You got 32 Ethereum, you can run a node. Now, keeping this really, really simple for you people, basically, That's a way of validating the network, securing it. You need 32 Ethereum to have a node. Now, currently, important point here, there's a 39-day waiting period for a node. There is 0 waiting time if you want to unstake your 32 Ethereum from your node. 0. So do the math. You got to wait 39 days for it to come online, but you can unstake it in 1 day. What does that tell you? There's a hell of a lot more interest in locking this up. So what does the Ethereum chart tell us?
So the whole market is waiting for a signal, and that signal is going to come from Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin breaks out of its consolidation to the upside, the rest of the market is going to follow suit. I will say that there's kind of a bullish formation starting here. You can see that we're kind of trapped below this resistance line that was established as kind of the first resistance in the prior cycle, right at around $1,800, $1,900, just below $2,000. And it held support, and then when we got below it, it was resistance. And we've been below this for a while now. We fell below it back in May of 2022. Now, that's all fine and dandy, where we've established where the resistance point is. And when we look at the support is rising. So every time the price comes down, the buyers are willing to step in, and they're willing to accept this dip in Ethereum. And we're just inching closer and closer. So eventually we're going to break. This is what's referred to as an ascending triangle. It's a bullish formation. It's showing that you have a clear and established resistance where buyers are willing to step in on every dip at higher and higher levels. So there will be a breaking point at some point, and statistically speaking, about a 70% chance this does break bullish.
So, I think we're going to look at one other token today, but I think, what we're trying to do to kick things off again here is keep this pretty high level for people. If you really want to get into the nitty gritty of trading us, go and join Blue's channel, links below to that. What we're attempting to do on this show is really for people that maybe understand a little bit of what's going on here, but we're keeping it as basic as possible for you. Now, today, we're talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum. These are the two main protocols in the crypto space. This is effectively what everything is going to be built on, and in my opinion. Yes, there's lots of other chains out there, but these are the biggies. These are the ones you really want to understand if you're new to the space. So for me, the way I'm currently trading is I'm using an algo. It's one method of having skin in this game, where for me personally, I'm not looking at the chart every day. Now, yes, I do love to get in there and trade on the daily. But for me at the moment, I'm quite happy with this algo. There's a link below if you want to check it out. A company called Sequence. Now, I know that you're also have launched your own products and services recently, Blue. So do you want to tell us a wee bit about that?
Yeah, that's correct. So Matt, the creator of Alpha Numerics, a strategy that we've been using for a really long time. It's how we trade, and we've been trading on it for years. We released a product called Blackbox. And Blackbox is it's an algorithmic trading bot. It's for trading your Bitcoin in and out of Bitcoin. And it's just a way for you to add some gains to your portfolio. We do advocate for self-custody. We do advocate for cold storage for most of your large holdings, but this is a way to kind of increase your stack so that you can have some exposure to the market as the bot sells in and out.
I just stopped you there because a couple of terms maybe some of the audience don't understand. When you're talking cold storage, self-custody.
Sure.
This what you guys are doing here? Who would you say this is for? Is this for professional traders? Is it, what type of people should be?
This is for people that want to have a life. This is for people
well said. That's why I'm using algo as well. Yeah.
Yeah. This is for people that want to trade with a tried and true method, a proven strategy that we've been using for years,
Yep.
but maybe don't want to be glued to a screen and don't want to check your phone every 10 minutes.
Gambling is what you're talking about.
Yeah, you set it and forget it. I can show you some profits here. Let's say you got in at the, the very fervorous, market conditions that we saw back in April of 2021. If we go and grab Blackbox, let's say you bought kind of the first top of 2021 and you put 10 grand into Blackbox, you'd have 100 grand today. And that's in a bear market. So it's a strategy that we have been using for years. It's a slow strategy. I will say that, this happened in 9 trades since 2021. But it's a very powerful strategy where you compound. A lot of people think, if I'm in crypto, I got to get 100x. Where do I get 100x? Where do I get 1000x? Because that's just easy math for you to do in your head. But what's really incomprehensible for a lot of people is compounding trades.
Yep.
So if we go and take a look at these list of trades, we've got, starting at the beginning, we've got a 20% profit. Okay. No big deal. Then we got a 29% profit, then a 24% profit, then a break-even trade, 17%, 45%, 30%. These are not big numbers. But when you compound 20 upon 20 upon 20 upon 20 upon 20, you've got a huge balance. This is what we try to teach in the community. This is what we try and teach in the group is just stop falling for the trap of, I need to find 100x. I need to bet my life savings on some stupid Shiba come rocket bullshit coin that's just a venture capital scam. You can trade the slowest, most diminishing return asset that provides the least amount of gains, and you can outperform the entire cryptocurrency market. So we're very proud of it, and it's free. That's the other thing that we're proud of. So the way we're able to do that is we just set you up on the bot with one of our partner exchanges, and the bot is free. We want to give this to everybody. Okay. And
yeah, awesome. So look, I mean, there's links below to that, people, if you want to check it out. Same with Sequence. Make your own minds up with what you're comfortable with. But I think, the key takeaway for me, as somebody that has traded on a daily basis, it can be highly addictive, can be very dangerous as well if you don't know what you're doing. It's ultimately gambling. If you're in there hitting buttons constantly, one bad decision can really screw things up for you. So I love that I have exposure to the market. I'm really happy with the algo I'm using. I'm really interested to learn more about yours. I'm certainly going to try it out. But yeah, the one I'm using sort of compounded, it's returned 40%, over the last couple of years. Set it and forget it, as you say. So yeah, check that out. If, especially if you're new to the market, maybe this is a good way to dip your toe in there. And, as Blue said, this is free if you want to check that out. So, have a look. You're mentioning, the 100x, the 1000x. One that made me laugh today is the hams coin, which is basically real hamsters racing. This thing turned over, I believe it was, it was 9 million in trading volume in 24 hours. But it appears like it's a lot of the hardcore traders that are in there having a bit of a giggle with this. But, I just want to remind the audience that, yes, most people hear about crypto when it's the mate who's done 100x on some random freaking shitcoin. I guess what we're trying to convey to you on this show, and it'll be a theme moving forward, is understand the main protocols, people. That's Bitcoin and Ethereum, what they do, how they work, and whether you think you should have exposure to these. So
I can draw a very simple picture. Okay, here's the 100x, right?
Yeah,
and then it never comes back. And then here's Bitcoin and ETH, right?
Yeah.
Which would you rather? Would you rather be convicted to a trade that will cycle after cycle after cycle provide a yield? Or do you want to gamble and see if you can, you know, be the guy who ends up with a chair in this game of musical chairs where
And
the
that's
VCs
exactly
and
what
the
it is,
social
people.
media pumps, and then you know, you get addicted. Like if you got in here, this is very typical. You know, somebody might get in here, they ride it all the way up, they're in peak euphoria, they think they've, you know, won the fucking lottery and that they're a genius, and they do not sell.
Yeah.
They do not sell.
Yeah.
And they ride it all the way to the bottom, and they wait for it to do this, but it's never going to do that. It's never going to do that. So yeah, that's
I
all
think
I gotta say
you know,
about that.
the magic question is where you know, when do we get this next bull run? That's when we're going to see retail flood back in.
After the halving.
Look
After the halving.
Yeah, I agree. You know, nobody has a crystal ball, but based on past statistics, that's most likely. So I guess what we're saying here is that I think an awesome opportunity exists over the next 6 to 12 months to learn this market, to, you know, put money in that you're comfortable with after you've really understood what's going on. We'll do our best to educate you. You know, it's a passion for us. You know, we believe in this more than you know, just making money. This is a game changer for humanity. That's really where we're coming at. We're
excited. We're excited to share what we know. We're excited about the space, but the reason we're excited is because this is quite literally the most profound and revolutionary movement in technology in the last couple of decades. And it could be much, much more of an innovation than even that. I think that this is very, very disruptive, not to any given sector, to all sectors of the entire global economy. And that's what really makes me excited. Sure, we can trade, we can try and increase in our position, in our, you know, conviction to this stuff. But ultimately, the reason that we bring this this content to you is to explain to you why this stuff is so important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you know, look, I also encourage you to check out our backgrounds. You know, if you're listening to people in this space, make sure there's some pedigree there. You know, we're pretty proud of the fact we've been around for nearly 6 years now, making content for free. 90% of that has been purely Bitcoin. Look, there will be another bull run. There will be mania. I think we're both in agreement that'll be sometime sort of mid next year. But now's your time to you know, to really learn Bitcoin and Ethereum, in my opinion. Do the basics first. Don't be the idiot jumping in at the wrong moment. Guess why we're making content again together? I couldn't be more excited. Now is the time. This is where the smart people are looking at this. So
smart money's buying. All the characteristics of price, sentiment, and the fundamentals of what we're seeing in the headlines. Smart money is buying. You buy with smart money. You sell with dumb. You sell when dumb money comes in. It's really that simple. Lather, rinse, repeat.
And look, I think just one last topic before we wrap up today, people. The other sort of basic that I would encourage you to learn a bit about is what's called a central bank digital currency. Now, I will put some links to previous shows I've made on this topic going back 2-3 years. This is now actually becoming a reality. Today, the San Francisco Fed has posted a job advert for a cryptocurrency expert to come in and do some analysis on CBDC research. So look, you know, this will happen. I ultimately see a lot of what happens on Ethereum and a DeFi once we get complete clarity around legislation is probably the word I'm looking for here. Especially in the US, I think the US has realized they're going to get left behind. There's other regions vying for this business, so I think that, you know, the next 6 months we're going to see some major plays. But coming back to these CBDCs, this is a digital form of a nation's currency, effectively. So a lot of people see this as a real evil. We've got Ron DeSantis, who's running for U.S. presidency, vowing to ban the thing, kick it out. I'm inclined to agree with him. Unfortunately, I do think these things will become a reality. We've effectively already seen this out of China. But the interesting thing here is, will Bitcoin be that separate path? To what degree it'll be incorporated into government's thinking? The beauty of Bitcoin is, guess what? It simply can't be controlled, and that's the big difference with Bitcoin and Ethereum. So, key point there. Understand, and it's a really important difference, actually, because Bitcoin is actually money you can control. Ethereum, for me, is one of the best science experiments ever in financial history, and I do think it's going to come off. How that's going to look, we're still sort of 6 to 12 months away around understanding the laws and regulations that'll all be very regional. But Bitcoin's an international asset. Larry Fink, CEO, sorry to repeat myself, huge statement. So I think, let's wrap up today's show with your thoughts on that particular topic. The difference between Bitcoin and everything else.
It's the only hard money in the entire crypto ecosystem. I think a lot of people are confused or misled in regards to proof of work. Proof of work is backing Bitcoin. This is electricity that is going into Bitcoin. Ethereum is great, as long as you have faith in the system, and as long as people have a fiat mind around how economics work, Ethereum can continue to function. But when we talk about hard money comes from work, and Bitcoin's inefficiencies are actually you taking work. You're taking labor, resources, electricity, the force of nature and physics going into these turbines and turning turbines into electricity and then putting that into Bitcoin. Proof of work is very misunderstood, in my opinion, and it's the biggest difference that I see in the market that kind of sets it apart from everything else and gives it a backing.
Yeah. And on that note, I mean, for anyone that's sort of rolling their eyes, thinking, well, okay, this is, pollutes the environment, etc. That's been a big narrative against Bitcoin, since I got into the space, but even more so recently, with the new initiatives around green energy, which are effectively coming into law in many countries. And what we're actually seeing is quite fascinating. In fact, I'm talking to a Bitcoin mining company at the moment that we'll certainly have on the channel in the coming weeks. The focus is really around renewables. It's a race to find the cheapest energy source.
Yeah,
exactly. If you've got cheap energy, your Bitcoin is worth more. So guess what? The innovation around renewables or around better tech when it comes to energy is just seen on the daily. It's huge in Bitcoin. So don't let that put you off. Do your own research. Don't take our word for it. It's do a bit of digging. You'll understand the bigger picture here very quickly. So look, thanks, Baloo, and we hope we've added some value. This particular show, as I say, is very much for people that are quite new to the space. If you're more of a hardcore trader, click Baloo's channel, link below. But here, we're trying to come at sort of fundamentals from me, some charts with Baloo. Passing on our knowledge for free, people. We don't have a sponsor. We do this. We're passionate about the space, and we'll continue to do so. So, look, thank you very much for your time, sir. I know it's late for you in the part of the world you're in. Monday morning.
Pleasure to be on.
Yeah, man. Yep, absolutely. And look, tell your friends about us. There will be regular content, and we're here to help. And we'll be doing that on the regular. Cheers, everyone. Thanks.